The first thing I'm looking at, I'm gonna go outside in.
Okay.
So from like a tackle's perspective, the first thing I'm thinking is like, what's your stance? Like defensive ends would be two different ways. If a guy knows that he's really good at speed, sometimes you see him turn like straight up the field because he's just trying to beat you to a spot, work that outside arm and then get to the quarterback. Other guys are gonna be angled. And for me, as a tackle, that's gonna change my angle of the way I set. If I see a guy that's a 9 technique, but he's angled, even though it may feel like you can set out wide to him, that's gonna leave an easy inside move. So if he's angled toward me, my set is gonna be a little bit shorter. If he's faced up the field, I know that I got a little bit more room to work with. I could be a little bit more patient because as fast as you move, I know where the hoop is, and I know exactly where you want your turn to be, and as long as I get length on you, then it's not gonna matter. A lot of times you deal with those speed guys, we also look in the way that you rush. If all you're giving to me is a shoulder, then that week I'm basically working my hands on shoulders, making sure that I get the hip. Because if you got a lot of speed, usually guys don't stop at the level of the quarterback, so I could just keep running you on through. You know what I mean? Because if you run 15 yards around the quarterback, it's not going to matter. I look at size, demeanor. If I see that you're on your hands a lot, really leaning on that inside hand, or if you use your outside hand, because some people do that, it's going to tell me what steps is your move's going to be. Is your move going to be on the 3rd step or the 4th step? How many steps it takes for you to get ready for a twist or inside move? Guys that are really big on the spin, we can kind of tell because sometimes they show it because they turn their shoulders before they spin. Everything is really just recognition and just about using your hands. You want to try to get into a stance where you can come at a guy from a few different angles. You see a lot of great players do this. They can give you a couple steps right into a bull. They can hit you with an inside move off of the 1st step. They can pretty much counter from different areas. But usually the guys that are tight to you, usually 2 hands down or inside hand down, we know that all we got to do is just level you up because as soon as we mess up your timing, your rush is done. You know what I mean? Unless there's some type of scramble opportunity. So for me, I look at stance, weight on the hand, which foot is back, especially if you're dealing with like an outside linebacker or something like that. And also I'm just looking at kind of like your repertoire, like what are you good at? Like what do you need to work on? Like so it kind of takes down all the moves away. And then also, if you're a good offensive lineman that understands his recognition, you're going to change your set multiple times because it's not going to be the same move every time. If you get a guy to set the same every time, you're going to win some, you know what I mean? But if a guy is constantly thinking, okay, is he going to short set me? Okay, is he going to back off and then wait for me to approach and then rush me? Is he going to give me hands, take him away and strike? These are all things that you got to look for on your side of the tape. As a guard, it's like playing in a phone booth, you know what I mean? So at the guard position, we're looking at weight on the hands, your size. Your size will tell us a lot. If you're a bigger guy, we know that you can't really work as much of the quicker stuff. It's really going to come from power. We know who we got to sit down on. You know what I mean? There's powerful guys that do have speed, like the Aaron Donalds, the Geno Atkins, the Fletcher Cox, that are really crafty with their moves. And that's when you have to play the game. You know what I mean? You have to be able to play the game. How can you react so that you're strong from your base, but also able to move your feet when the inside move comes, when the swim comes, like those type of things. So that's why you see how successful those guys are. So for me, it's also about alignment when you're at guard. If you're tight, or if I see you face up the field, or if I see you really like towards the center, a lot of 3 techniques love to be facing towards the center.
Like in the tilt?
Yeah, in a tilt to try to really force that penetration because if guys are backing off the ball, it's going to live a path straight to the center because as soon as you knock the hip over, of course, people hate being the penetrator. They want to be the looper. But sometimes the penetrator is the first person to get to the ball, and that's just being honest. You do your job as a penetrator, you're going to be able to get through because eventually that guard's going to have to leave or you took one for your team and your looper's free. You know what I mean? So there's a plethora of options, but it's always stance, demeanor in your stance, and where you're facing on the field. You know what I mean? The tilt, upfield, because upfield tells me a lot. Upfield tells me like, oh, okay, he's really going to want to set up this twist. He's kind of wide. He doesn't usually play that 4-eye position. That's going to give me a tell. So instead of me usually being like, okay, look, what you doing? I'm going to come through and like, you come here. I'm gonna come through and just pop that shoulder. I'm gonna send you over to him, and then after that, if you run into your looper, game over. Like you're done. And sometimes when you're off balance, that's when I get to finish you. So like I'm gonna try to hit you, and then you bump into him. You guys get together, and then I'm yanking you down and throwing you into the ground, like stuff like that. But like you have to be physical and pass protection as an offensive lineman. But for you guys, listen, we're watching everything. You know what I mean? So how can you disguise anything? You know what I mean? How can you disguise? And your moves, as soon as you come out of your stance, bro, I already know your favorite move. So find a way to set it up. Loosen them up with a bull before you decide to go inside move or outside swipe.
Set up, right?
Yes, set it up. Set it up. Get the lineman guessing before you about to bring that next move to him. Because a lot of guys like to soften a guy with a bull, and then as soon as they run up and he's ready to fire in their hands, double ham swipe. Keep the hands low and tight together because you could telegraph all this. And you know, for guards, you guys that play that 2-eye position, that inside, you got to recognize like how this person set. Is he going to overset you to try to make sure he's inside out on you? Is he going to be head up with you, giving you space to make an inside move? Is he going to be super aggressive so that you could just take a step and beat him right off the line? Those are all things you need to look at when you're watching tape.
Yeah. So what's one of the easiest things? Like if you got a 3-tech coming at you, when it's an easy rep? What do you see when it's like, okay, this is kick every time?
Basically it's somebody that comes up and their chest is just open. Because when you're tight to me, all I got to do is take 2 to be right there, and then my hands are right in your chest.
Okay.
And I can beat the hands because see, what people don't understand is that if you're strong and you have a strong punch, even though you try to swipe, you may not be able to get that hand off.
You
can't knock it down every time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So those parts are cake. And if I know that you're a big swiper and I can take my hands away from you and put them right back on you, everybody already know I'm overpowering you, period. Ain't nobody gonna look at me and be like, oh, he's not gonna overpower me. I gotta keep his hands off. So I know my strengths and weaknesses as well.
So what's the scariest thing at 3-tech then?
The scariest thing at 3-tech is where he's like not a 4-eye, but he's a little bit wider. So you set to him, he set to him, he runs a little bit wider rush, outside hand swipe, and then you have to try to catch up and have to open up already. And the counters is available. You can try to run them around the edge, but it's a super tight edge.
Because you made a move.
Yes,
so
yes.
Kind of sometimes if you can kind of cheat it, if you're in that 3-tech, that's something hard because not having to always kick that much, but now you got to go.
Exactly, and now you got to go get him. It sets the inside move. It gives opportunity to run the edge a little bit easier. And if a guy is top heavy with his punch, any type of swat is just gonna be down, and he's gonna have to open up and run and try to like sell out to try to knock you out.
Okay, last one. Hardest thing at tackle.
At tackle. Honestly, I think the hardest thing at tackle is probably a guy that's really good. Is really good at the big 3, the bull rush, the inside move, as well as like I think the spin. Because, I mean, all the time, you know, you got this big guy coming straight at you and you got to hit him. But he's also crafty enough to hit you with an inside move, and you're going to have to open up and sell out. Might even hurt one of your own linemen trying to finish him. And then also that inside move is just another one where kind of you could get your head in there and it's just harder to get out. So you just give more ground, and that allows space to the quarterback.
Okay. Any questions about anything? Any 3-techs, DNs that you can look for?
Basically what I'm telling you is film is the most important thing. It's the only way that we can play this game. You know what I mean? A lot of the times you see young guys playing really well their first year because nobody has any film on them. Nobody is going to be playing against you in college and watching your high school tape. I guarantee you. You know, nobody's going to be watching your college tape when you get to the league. So that's why people are most dangerous. But if people start to figure you out, then you got to start to adapt. Adaption is huge in the NFL, high school, college. Like you got to adapt to your surroundings because we'll adapt too. And that's where the war comes. That's where the battle is. That's why you trench approve, right?
How long did it take you to adapt?
My first year, I was balling, bro. The second year was like kind of tough because we had that lockout, so I didn't even get a chance to like. Yeah, I was at the original lockout, so like that was pretty tough. And coming back from that was a struggle. And then the third year is just like ball, and you know, I think the older I got, the more I started to understand. Experience really plays a big role in that. So it's good to latch on to like older guys and like be a part of that because they can teach you as you go along the way. Like I said, you always want to listen to your coaches, but you always want to do your play style to what your coaches tell you to do because that's the best way that you're going to be. That's the way you become the best player you're going to be.
What was the hardest transition from going to college to the league?
Honestly, the speed of the game, man. I mean, college, I was able to slow the game down. It took me a little bit longer to slow the game down in the NFL
Yep.
because when we did preseason, I was like, oh man, this is kind of fast. Start getting used to that, and then we played in the game, and I was like, oh, whoa. And then when I was, I didn't get to play in the playoff game until I was like year 8, and that one took even another notch. So it's like, there's levels in the NFL, like just the speed of the game, bro. Being able to slow it down comes from preparation, knowing what's coming, from just film study, yeah, from film study, and then also it comes down to just understanding the game plan. If you don't understand what's going on, how you gonna do anything? You're just gonna see me running around everywhere. You don't know that I just blasted your defensive end on a pool. You know what I mean? Like you just sitting there in the gap. Like what happened? My running back is all the way over there. You know what I mean? So like you have to know what you're doing, man. So you got to rely on each other, because the greatest thing about D-line and O-line is that we can communicate so well to each other, man, and we can talk through anything. Guys are fake tell each other stunts like, hey, yeah, we ain't running no stunt, I'm just talking to you. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, man, it's a mind game. It's a chess match. It's a chess match. And sometimes you have a plan, and a lineman will just take it away immediately. Like, you so tight to me, I'm on you. I'm right up on you. You ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just a chess game, man. It's a constant chess game. But the sooner that you know the chess game, the more you can outwork your opponent. And that's what comes from like this right here, and in college, especially in college, bro. You can really mess with some people's heads in college. Because what do people in college do? Everybody got the dream of going to the NFL. You start messing with a dude, he starts slapping his helmet, all upset, and then you got him. You got him. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be easy. But trust me, it's a learning process. It's a learning process. Every failure is gonna lead to a new success. You know what I mean? You just got to remind yourself of that every time. Don't let nothing take you so down that you can't get back up. You know what I mean? Oh.
We're gonna need 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna need a long talk about that one, because when politics get involved, counting money, counting players in the room, maybe you don't like one teammate, maybe somebody is just out there trying to get you. Maybe they drafted somebody in your same position and you start doubting. Maybe you're like right on the cusp of making a team. Like, there's a whole lot of stresses, and everybody got a family, everybody got problems, everybody got everything, man. So it's just like kind of how you approach it. But yeah, of course football is stressful, but is the money worth the stress? Everybody gonna say yes. Everybody gonna say yes.
If you sold them, that's what you're gonna do. So you got to get.
You got to. It's a reason for everything. That's why everybody tells you to find your why. You know what I mean? Because your why motivates you to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And like, what's tough for me is like last year I lost both of my whys. You know what I mean? Lost both of them same month. Terrible, awful. But you know what? Also got some more whys. Got kids, got a family, got to take care of them. So even though I lost people that I cared about, I have to continue to fight for the others. You know what I mean? And that's where the pressure and all that stuff come into play. But sometimes you ain't got a choice, man. The hardest thing to do is just getting out of bed. You know what I mean? But as long as you can get into it and you rely on your brothers, they can pull you through, for sure.
Man, come on, I done learned some shit. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man. Y'all be easy, man.